course the thing. I've really stuck quite traditionally with the sort of meaning of cult. But this next one is interesting because it was technically like I suppose like a church, like a Christian church. Have you heard? So my fact is the movement for the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God.
Right.
This is the name of this particular thing. Ended with a mass suicide. That's my
Thou
my
shalt
fact.
not end with a mass suicide. Bloody hell.
I mean, that's the ultimate point of the Ten Commandments, right? Like the movement for the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God.
Well, I know nothing about the movement for the restoration of the Ten Commandments.
Of God.
Of God.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
you
do
can't.
know a lot about the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God's movement. Are you from the People's Front of Judea? Fuck off.
I thought you meant
We're from
movement.
the Judean People's Front.
I thought you meant movement, like as in going to the toilet. I had a movement, like God's movement.
Well, if
All
you've
of creation is God's movement, Ryan.
if you've been constipated for 24 hours,
Yeah.
it's a movement of God.
That's right. There you are. There you are.
So
Anyway.
I know nothing about this, and you say they ended in a mass suicide.
Well, that's my fact is that they
Damn
ended in a
it,
mass
Please
suicide.
no. Well, there's already David Koresh. Please no, not another one. Once again, I hope you're bloody lying, because we need more churches. Joking. Maybe. I'm gonna say no. It's another lie. You're lying.
You know what I love about this particular cult? I mean, apart from the fact that the name is like 40 words long, is that at what stage, restoration implies that at some stage the Ten Commandments were just being ignored. Like everyone was just murdering everyone and stealing and, I don't know, worshipping
Coveting your
graven
neighbor's
idols and
coveting your neighbor's ass.
asses, yes, coveting one's neighbor's asses and disrespecting their parents and all these sorts of things. And now these guys were coming here to kind of restore it. It's a cult. I'm not surprised you haven't really heard about it. It's a cult that took place in Uganda. It was founded in Uganda in 1989 by two guys, Joseph. I'm gonna read their names, Kibwetiri and Credonia Mwerinde. Mwerinde is probably more accurate. I'm sorry, Ugandan listener.
Yeah.
Who claimed that they'd had visions of the Virgin Mary.
All right.
And then they started forming this massive, like, church, almost evangelical kind of church around it. And they had a lot of estates and compounds and churches and all of this. And they said it would all end, all of it, the whole world would end on New Year's Day, the year 2000.
Okay.
So for 10 years they took so much money from everyone. They took all of their cash, they took everything, and they said, no, listen, the world's going to end New Year's Day, year 2000. Everybody sold their stuff. They donated the last of it to these guys. They threw a big party, and then on the morning of the 1st of January, year 2000, everyone was like, the fuck, bro? Like, what's going on? You got this wrong. Give us our money back.
April Fool.
And these guys were like, no, sorry, we messed it up. It's actually the 17th of March of the year 2000. And then everyone was like, all right, but this is your last chance.
Fine, there might be a Gregorian calendar versus another calendar
Yeah, they had that as an
discrepancy.
excuse. Yeah, they were like,
was
this is
Jesus' birthday in September?
fine. Well, we'll come, and then they spit bride like 3 oxen, and they drank 70 cases of Coca-Cola, and they had a big party, and then the next thing there was a massive explosion, and everyone in the building was killed. Like 500 odd people were killed in this massive explosion.
So many.
And the police thought it was a mass suicide of the cult, and they started investigating, and then they started finding bodies at many of the compounds, at many of the other churches, at many of the other states, but hundreds of bodies, where people had been stabbed to death weeks previously, where people had been garroted, where people had been killed. So now you start adding up the bodies. It's like 100 here and 50 there and another 100 there, and they basically worked out that essentially what happened is that these leaders killed everyone. They killed 900 people. Bear in mind, these are the leaders of, and I'm going to read that name again, the Movement for the Restoration of the Ten Commandments of God. This is so they basically worked out that these guys killed everyone. And at first, they thought that the leaders had been killed in the fire along with everyone else. But subsequently, they now believe that Joseph Kibwetiri and Credonia Mwerinde are still alive. They have an international warrant out for their arrest, and in 2014, the Ugandan National Police announced that there were reports that Kibutiri was hiding out in Malawi. So these guys are probably still alive, having killed 900 odd of their followers and kept all of their money. So it didn't end in a mass suicide, it ended in a mass murder of epic proportions. So
To
it's
the
even
tune of
worse.
500 people
500 people
estimated.
in one building. No. The total deaths are put at 924.
That's more than
That's more than the Jonestown massacre. Yeah, and it was murders. The lot of them. Yeah.
Like Owens, my genade. It just makes me want to moer out.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm
you
not
know, it
even
also
a
ironically it
oak
makes me
and
very
wood
proud
hoax.
of Africa. You know, like
We
I don't
beat the Americans.
Yeah. You know, listen, Americans, you're gonna need to put more effort in on your cults now.
Yeah.
You know,
Come on,
Uga-
Texas. Come
Yeah.
on, Texas.
Uganda's really set a high bar there. They're not fucking around in Uganda. You guys are gonna have to Texas. I believe in Florida. I believe in Texas. I think one of you guys can come through for us.
Florida, retired old folk, man. They're not.
Yeah,
That-
but it's
that-
retired old folk and then homeless people on PCP. It's like the two can come
Perfect.
together in some perfect storm
Perfect
of
storm.
mass culty murder. You know?
Amidst a lot of perfect storms that region gets.
If any country in the world is going to have that kind of mass murder, I mean, America's just basically staring it down the barrel, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes. That country is fascinating. But I'm gonna go to the second most fascinating country in the world for my next fact.
Oh yeah.
Ours. This
Are we
one, man.
Second? Not
Yeah.
a chance. Not a chance. South Africa. We're so ahead of the pack. Is this where you're going to talk about Devil's
You
Door?
betcha.
You've
Michelle.
been
Dev-
the whole time
salivating.
the whole time I'm talking to you, you're just thinking Devil's Door, Devil's Door.
Devil's Door.